Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Make or Break
Hey,
Sports
and we back, and
Podcast.
we back, and we back.
It has been a very long time since
Oh
we
man,
have been on here for our dedicated fans. Mom, guys, it's great to have you back.
we
Matt
got
over
one.
here. We
We
got
got
Ben
one.
over there. What's going on, Ben?
Not much, buddy. Ready to get back
So
in
I
action.
must come out and first apologize. I must say that I will take the heat for the absence on the show lately. But you know what they say, Ben, when you say student podcast host, student does come first. So I am a student first and a podcast host second, as they
Yeah,
say. I
man.
think it's something
Hey,
like that.
no worries. I mean, it was fun. We did a lot of stuff over break. Unfortunately, we actually were together at one point. I did make the trip up to Penn State to hang out with Matt, go to the Penn State game. We didn't get to
Watch
do a
Penn State
podcast.
whoop Michigan.
We
Got to
didn't get to
watch
do a
that.
podcast together, which was unfortunate. We didn't have a lot of voices after the game, so we figured we'd save that and just come back
And here
ready
we
to
are. So
go.
we
We
got the
got
grand
college
return.
football, we got
The grand
NBA, we got
return.
NFL, the grand return. Something out of like LeBron James's book. This is like what he did in his return to Cleveland. We're
Yeah,
back.
but we don't want to be anything like LeBron James. Anyway, so big episode ahead, guys. Things could get a little heated. We do talk college football later on, so we'll definitely have some big takes on that. But we're first going to get started off with a little NBA action. We're going to get an
Yes,
update
sir.
now. So, Ben, first off, before we go into any power rankings or any of our other stuff, we're going to have to throw a shout out, prayers up to Gordon Hayward.
Yeah,
Gruesome ankle injury, first game of the season. It's been a while now. It feels like it's
first
been
5 minutes of the season. If you've been seeing Gordon Hayward, one of the most genuine guys in the NBA, always been a fan, coming from a small school like Butler, finally getting to play with Brad Stevens on a championship contender. And for him to go down just sucks. I don't know if you saw the video of him with his daughter. His daughter's hopping around like he was on crutches. It's really adorable. But yeah, prayers up to him.
Yeah,
Hope for
dude, and
that
I
speedy
saw that
recovery,
I saw Gordon is already back in the gym. He's been shooting a little bit, even in his wheelchair. So that man is driven. I
still
hope
a
he
better
makes
looking shot than
yeah,
our
man,
boy Markel Fultz.
way
But
better
that's
shot than Markel Fultz, way better
that's a
shot than
different
Ben
story.
Bauer.
Hey,
It's
you're
gonna be
not
tough for
wrong.
them. The Celtics though still 13-2 without Hayward. The young guys,
Yeah.
Jason Tatum, Brown. You got a bunch of guys. Marcus Smart's been
You
playing
got the
well,
veteran with Al Horford, and Kyrie Irving
and
is a
Kyrie
veteran,
is
even though
Kyrie.
he's still young. So Matt, yeah, let's just jump right into it though. They're number one in my power rankings
Yeah,
right
I have the
now.
Celtics at number one in my power rankings as well. Kyrie Irving just looks like he's playing so much more freely. He just looks like he's having so much fun. The Celtics are a really fun team to watch. They've been struggling a little bit lately in terms of they
Right.
haven't been beating their opponents by a lot. But when you look at Horford's missed 2 games, Kyrie missed a game. The Celtics are locked and loaded right now on a
Yeah, I
13-game winning
agree.
streak.
I agree. They
I,
started out 0-2, 13 in a row since. It doesn't get much better. And just so you guys know how we're going to do all of these rankings today is we're just going to go through and give you like our number one team, discuss that. Our number two we have at number 2, not instead of going through our individual, just so we can compare them better on the spot. So I think
I
that's
have coming in
the
at number
best way
2,
for
I have
that.
the Golden State Warriors.
As do I.
I think
11-3.
it's hard to really talk about Golden State without saying how well they've been playing, even though they started out the season a little shaky, 1-2, with a couple quick losses. But, everybody's going to jump all over them like that when they start out the season like that. But they've been playing great. Kevin Durant playing well, Steph Curry playing well, Klay Thompson.
Yeah, that team, it's
Sure,
just a well-oiled
any.
machine. They're a veteran team. They have the same group back they had last year, with the addition even of Nick Young, who I know the swaggy P.
He's been balling, man. Swaggy's been balling.
He's been shooting. That's his kind of environment. Shooter's going to shoot, and that's exactly what he's doing. But
Yep, he's been playing
going
well.
to a team that actually beat them earlier this year. For my third-ranked team, I have the Houston Rockets right
Absolutely, baby.
now. The Rockets were behind Harden. Right now, they don't have
Give
Chris
my man
Paul.
Harden. I want him to get the MVP so bad.
And
Let
they
my
don't
man
have,
Harden
they're
get an
doing
MVP.
this without Chris Paul, and you can tell that this team was not a bad team without Chris Paul, and the fact that they brought him in, I think it kind of messed with them a little bit. And I think when he gets back from injury, they will be able to mesh better. But it was definitely a slow start with Paul and Harden both in that lineup.
It's going to be really interesting to see, in my opinion, when Chris Paul comes back, because James Harden
Eric Gordon
now,
is balling too, man.
Eric Gordon's
averaging like
They're
23
just got
points.
shooters on.
They just shoot like 53s a game, and they
Yep.
make 30 of them.
And they love it. They love it.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Harden leading the league in assists as well. That boy has been cooking. I love it. I love Harden.
Yeah, no doubt.
I'm pulling for the Rockets in the West because I just can't stand the Warrior Empire. And the Spurs without Kawhi have been struggling a little bit.
Yeah,
but I have, the number 4 team that I have on my power rankings is a team that nobody ever would have guessed would have been
Detroit, right?
Detroit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's who I have too.
Detroit
I have them right there sitting
is
number 4.
absolutely playing well. I mean, they're They've won 5 in a row. They're 10 and
Yeah.
3. Tobias Harris averaging 20 points a game. Reggie
He's the
Jackson
X
has been
factor
playing
because
great.
people don't think about Reggie Jackson and Andre Drummond get all the attention. Tobias Harris is the scorer on that team. I think he can create. He can basically do whatever he needs to do in order to get that team points. But behind Drummond, and they have, like we said, Reggie Jackson, who's not a slouch
Avery
point
Bradley
guard. I mean,
averaging
Avery
17.
Bradley,
He's
great
been a
defender.
big
He's the
addition to
lock
that
and loaded.
team.
Oh, without a doubt.
He was a huge addition to that team, and I mean they're playing really well right now. They deserve this number 4 spot. The Detroit Pistons playing exceptionally well. Coming in at number 5, I have the San Antonio Spurs. You got to show some love to Pop's crew. Although they haven't been playing as Spur-like as usual, they're still tough. And even without Kawhi, their best player, they're still playing competitive basketball. And I believe they're 9-5, 9-4. And
the Spurs are 9-5.
And even without Kawhi, for them to come in here and compete like this shows a lot of character for their team. The young guys that are starting to step up, and Pop's
my number 5 team right now. I have them. I have the Spurs at number 6. My number 5 team is going to be the Washington Wizards over in the East. Not a big fan necessarily of the Wizards. And John Wall they're a really cocky team between Wall, Oubre, and Bradley Beal. So for me, but they are playing very well. They're averaging the second most points in the NBA right now, behind only the Warriors. They're averaging 111 points a game. John Wall, I have him top 3 point guard in the NBA personally. He does have talent. So the big thing for me is just, they're in the East and they're going to be able to compete, I feel like.
Yeah, I like the Wizards. I have them actually at number 7, but I have the Raptors at 6 in front of them. I think Toronto coming off a big win the other day against Houston. They're impressive. DeMar DeRozan has been playing very, very well. And, Toronto's one of those teams that just kind of gets swept under the rug in the East in terms of contenders. But I think they're right back in that situation again, maybe just outside of the top tier of the Eastern Conference. I really like Toronto. I have them at 6.
You have the Raptors at 6. Okay.
Yep.
My number 6 team, I'll just go to them because I said it was the Spurs. We already talked about them. 9-5, they got off to a slow start, still without Kawhi Leonard and without Tony Parker and without Manu Ginobili. And I think when those guys all get back, they'll have their core back in it. So that's the big thing for me there. But I actually have Toronto all the way down at number 9. So just a little one of our discrepancies there, but I'll talk about them when we get to them at number 9. So, Matt, who's your number 6? Oh, you have the Raptors, you said, at number 6 then.
Yep, Raptors at number 6.
Okay, so who do you have at number 7?
Number 7 I had was the Washington Wizards. I mean, they are playing really well.
Okay.
They're a strong team. I really do like John Wall as a player. I think him and Beal are really playing well. They struggled a little bit early in the season. They lost a few games. I think they lost to Dallas a couple games ago, which was kind of uncharacteristic of that team. But, they're still getting it figured out. And, believe it or not, Otto Porter having a fantastic season. He's one of the most efficient players in the NBA.
So, my number 7 team is going to be I have the New Orleans Pelicans at number 7. I think the combination of Boogie Cousins and Anthony Davis, that's the best front court, I feel like, in the NBA. Those two guys are both averaging about 28 points a game. Boogie's averaging 7 assists a game almost. So, I mean, he's a guy that really does the intangibles well, that was a great pickup for them last year. And Drew Holiday comes in very underrated. Former Sixer. The man, he doesn't do a lot, but he comes up big when he has to.
Yeah, Drew's never gotten a lot of love.
He had a big game. He got a huge contract in the offseason. He had a big game this year. He already put up over 40 points. So I think that team, with those, especially with those 3, has potential to do something. But I think they need a piece, and I think that's going to hold them back just a little bit. Having to get rid of Buddy Hield last year hurt them.
Yeah, they're close.
DeMarcus doesn't trade. But I think they need a shooter.
They need that perimeter defender / shooter. They could use a guy in that like Avery Bradley kind of Covington kind of mold. And I think they would have a chance to be really good.
Yeah, I agree.
Coming in at number 8 then for me is the Minnesota Timberwolves. I think the T-Wolves are a tough team. I think that they've been playing really well. The chemistry really seems to have gotten there a lot quicker than a lot of people thought with Jimmy Butler. Karl-Anthony Towns has been playing great. Andrew Wiggins has been playing really, really well ever since he got the cornrows. The cornrows were the key to him. Just kidding. But, I mean, they're playing well. I think that Thibodeau is a great coach. He's got them on the path they want to be. And they've played a tough schedule. They played the Warriors tough for a little while. The Warriors ended up just blowing them out late, as they always do with some teams. But I think the Timberwolves have a chance to be solid this year.
I have the Timberwolves. I'm a little not quite sold on them yet. I know Thibodeau has done a great job with that big 3 that they have. They got Jamal Crawford off the bench as well. I have them lower right now. I actually don't have them in my top 10 right now. They're right on the outside looking in for me. But the team I have at number 8, I know I'm going to catch some slouch for whatever. I still have Cleveland. I know they're 7-7 or 500, and there's teams probably out there that are better than them. But the thing for me is they don't have Isaiah Thomas yet, and that's just something that people don't realize is he owns the fourth quarter. I know it may be different with him and LeBron and playing a different aspect, but they've fell apart late in games. You just saw the other night LeBron actually pulled his team back against the Knicks in order to win that game. But for me, right now, they're still 500 without their arguably second best player. So
yeah, I also have the Cavs
and
in
you
there.
know that they're going to be there when the time comes. Like LeBron is going to do whatever it takes. He's probably coasting however much he needs to in order to get to that point. So
yeah, I have Braun at number 9. I think Cleveland is one of those teams that, although they're struggling a little bit right now, they're going to get it figured out. They have the best player in the world right now. And when they get Isaiah Thomas
Joel
back,
Embiid, he's on the Cavs?
quick trade. Yeah, you're right. I don't know. Hey, really quick. So screw Cavs. We're tired of talking about them. We've been talking about them for 5 years. How about the process coming in at number 10 on my power rankings? I did it. I'm fan bias, whatever. So the process is in the top 10.
I have the Sixers right outside. I have them literally on the right at the outside. I have them at number 11.
Huge. Let me guess. You put the Magic ahead of them.
I did.
You can't. Dude, that's that Orlando.
No, I don't like the Magic at all. Like, I don't root for the Magic. I die hard for the Sixers.
They got you screwed up down in Florida, man.
Matt, do you remember that bet you lost because of the Magic? They beat the Spurs by like 40.
Yeah, I bet on the Spurs. Everybody out there,
they beat the Spurs by 40.
Spurs are like only 4-point favorites against the Orlando Magic. I'm thinking,
and they lose by 40.
I'm like, Popovich has got this. Orlando, they stink.
No.
The Magic beat them by 40, and I'm thinking to myself,
exactly.
Well, geez.
Orlando's a team that right now, and by all means, I think the Sixers are going to be a better team maybe even 2 weeks from now. But right now, Orlando has the little bit more veteran leadership that they need in order to maybe pull out some of these games. The Sixers, I know, already lost a heartbreaker twice this year, late in the game on a buzzer beater, and then they hit one with like 6 seconds left that brought them down. So the Sixers are right there. The Sixers could be, 9-4. They haven't played much at home yet. I have the Sixers at 11. I have the Magic at 10, and then my number 9 team is the Raptors, like we said earlier.
Okay, Toronto coming in. I mean, I have Orlando to give them some respect. I have them sitting right outside at 11 was my team that I was going to put in there because I think that the Sixers, with those couple games they could have won, it's not that far-fetched to say they could be 9-4. This team is really growing. They're fun to watch. They're probably one of the most fun teams to watch. Tonight in Showtime, going up against the Lakers, Lonzo Ball.
How about his shooting percentage? I think we could shoot better than Lonzo Ball, maybe.
Hey, man, I think we could.
So Lonzo Ball.
Berwick basketball represent. I think we could shoot better than Lonzo. My form is way better. I don't know if I could shoot as good as him, and his hair is a little better than mine.
So that brings out. So we're gonna cut the NBA right there, just because we got a lot to talk about in the first episode back. Like I said, we're going to do these Wednesday nights from now on, and we'll be able to get more in detail about each one. This is just kind of a recap on everything, and we really want to get to the next segment, which is going to be the big stuff.
Everybody, real quick, everybody tune in tonight to The Process on ESPN, playing up against the Lakers.
10:30
p.m.
Lakers.
I think the Sixers are going to smack them. I can't wait to see Joel put 50 on them.
So, but yeah, I mean, I'm excited. But Matt, let's get to what's the biggest thing I think right now going on in everybody's mind. I wish we would have caught back last week, because last week there were a lot of big games to talk about last weekend, but we're going to catch up with them right now. The college football playoff. This is the third week the polls came out. What we're going to do here is we're going to go through what the committee has for the top 15, and as we go through them, we're going to give you where we have them ranked. So we're essentially going to get our own non-expert top 15.
Yeah, so we're going to get right into it really quick. College football is starting to get into that pivotal point where things start happening, and it's been frustrating whirlwind as a Penn State fan and student last couple of weeks. Penn State's been bumping around. But anyway, we'll get into the actual top 15 right now. Alabama, number 1. Clemson, number 2. Miami, number 3. Oklahoma, 4. Wisconsin, 5. Auburn, 6. Georgia, coming off that loss, 7. Notre Dame also coming off a loss to Miami, 8. Ohio State, 9. My Penn State Indy Lions trailing the Buckeyes at number 10. USC at number 11. TCU Horned Frogs, 12. Oklahoma State at 13. Washington State at 14. I'll let you take 15, Ben. Who's 15?
And 15 is the UCF. I think they call them the Central Florida Golden Knights that they used to call them back
The
in the day.
Central Florida
But
Golden Knights.
we are the UCF Knights coming in at number 15 finally. So, Matt, so let's just break this down a little. We're going to go straight through 1 to 15. I want to get a little heated debate going here. This is where we're going to spend a lot of our time today. We do have fantasy football stuff for you guys coming up in a little bit, but we are going to go through right now and take probably this is going to be about 15 to 20 minutes of just our banter on what we think who should be where. Can we agree that Bama should be number 1? I think we can all agree on that.
Bama's number 1.
Argument. Bama has.
I think they go ahead. I think they got completely disrespected when Georgia jumped them.
See, I didn't just because Georgia had that win. I know Alabama's win against Florida State's definitely getting overlooked because Florida State is terrible, but they were not bad that first game. They had Francois, they had their whole team, and Bama wrecked them.
Yeah, so I think Bama was totally disrespected. You can't
look at that game like that. So I do think Georgia deserved to be over Bama, but now I thought Bama this week, even if Georgia had beaten Auburn, I really think Bama should have jumped back up because they did beat LSU. Or I'm sorry, they did beat LSU. So that was big, or Mississippi State. I'm sorry, they beat Mississippi State. So that was a big deal for me. And Bama, I know they almost lost, but Bama has been dominant all year.
Bama was going to win that whole game the whole time. You knew that they always toy around with them. You knew Bama was going to win. Bama's the best team in the country, and there's no doubt about that.
So everybody that shouts, we want Bama. You can keep shouting that all you want. I don't, and it's easy.
Nobody wants Bama. Penn State is 1-2 since we wanted Bama. Yeah. That was the most ridiculous thing. When we started chanting, we want Bama.
Vandy's 0-8 and have gotten outscored by 800 points. So
no way.
So number 2 team in the college football playoff, Clemson. I have them down at number 4.
Me too. I hate this. I hate Clemson at number 2.
For me, Clemson at number 2, they have probably, you could argue, they have the worst loss of any team in this top 25 almost.
I mean, let me read for you. Now, I am sick and tired of this strength of schedule thing. I'm sick and tired of this Clemson thing, and I'll get into it in a minute. Yeah. I think Clemson is so overranked at number 2. I don't know how they got back to number 2. Kent State, Auburn. Auburn's tough. Now is tough. They've come back.
Right.
Louisville, 6-4, complete frauds. Boston College, 5-5, a 3-loss Virginia Tech team. Wake Forest, a loss to 4-6 Syracuse. Syracuse, I didn't even know Syracuse had a football team until that game. I did not even know they had a football team. Then you got Georgia Tech. They only beat NC State by 7, and then they played a terrible Florida State team.
Yeah.
You tell me how they deserve to be the number 2 team in the country. I think it's ridiculous.
The whole thing for me is Kelly Bryant did go down in that Syracuse game, and I get that. And that was a big part of that game that they didn't have him for, I think it was either the whole second half or even, I don't know if the fourth quarter or what. That's a big deal. So I gave him a little side for that, but that Syracuse loss looks the worst out of all of these games that I'm looking at in this top 15. So for me,
there's only one loss out of any top 10 team that is worse, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But that Syracuse loss is absolutely terrible. I think Clemson is solid. You have to give them credit because they're 9-1. But you know what they're trying to do with Clemson being number 2? They're trying to set up this rematch. They want the rubber match between Alabama and Clemson, and they're trying to make it so that Clemson could lose.
Bama would roll them, I think. I honestly think Bama would roll them.
Absolutely. I don't think it's close. I think a couple teams would roll them.
Okay. So
I have number 2. I think number 2 that I have listed is Oklahoma, the Oklahoma Sooners. I think Oklahoma.
I do as well. I think Oklahoma is the best team in the country. I think they are. I think they could beat Bama on a neutral field, and I think they're the only team that could do that.
They went into Columbus and smoked Ohio State. They continue to play well. They had that one loss against Iowa State, and Iowa State has been tough. They've played some teams tough in the Big 12.
Yeah, I mean, they blinked against top 10 teams.
Baker Mayfield blinked a little bit on the road in that game, and they lost the game.
But
I think
they have
solid.
3 wins. They have 3 wins against top 13 top 13 teams. 3 wins against that. Nobody else can really say that in the top 10. Baker Mayfield's running away with the Heisman.
Absolutely.
It used to be Saquon way in front, and now it's Baker's just, I think, a mile ahead. He has to do a lot to lose it, in my personal
opinion. He's played so well, and that team is absolutely nothing without him. I think Oklahoma should be the clear-cut
number 2. The fact that they're number 4 right now, that would be Bama-Oklahoma in the semifinal, and I'd rather watch that in the championship. But anyway, so that's who we have at number 2. The number 3 team in the actual poll, Matt, is Miami. and I have them at number 3.
Yep.
I have them where they should.
Yep, that's where I have them as
agree
well.
on the top 4. We think Miami. We think it should be Bama, Bama, Oklahoma, Miami, Clemson as our.
But the
top
thing
4.
about it is that's crazy, and
one of those teams won't make it.
And I think 100% the winner of the Miami Clemson ACC championship should be in, and the loser should be out.
Absolutely. There's no case that they should both make it, in my opinion.
And I think that this little Clemson being at number 2 is the committee trying to set themselves up so that when Miami beats Clemson, they might still stick Clemson at number 4. And I can't believe that. I don't know if they will do that.
The thing for me right now, everybody doubted Miami just routed a team that we thought was legit. And I'm not saying Notre Dame is legit, but man. Miami just routed them 41.
I don't like Miami, but I'll wear the turnover chain. I'll wear the turnover chain, man. I'm wearing
Obviously,
it right now
for Miami,
they're
they stay undefeated. They're in. They have Virginia this week, and then they have Pitt next week for Thanksgiving, and then they have the ACC championship game unless anything happens. So, in my opinion, if they're going to lose, they need to do it in one of these next 2 weeks, and they could still get in potentially. In my opinion, I think they could still get in with a loss.
I disagree. I think Miami needs to win. They need to win out.
So
because I don't think they'd be able to overcome either of those 2 losses.
I mean, it's tough. Virginia and Pitt, I understand neither of them are good, but having that one loss in the AAC, that's essentially what Clemson would have. Clemson has that one better win, maybe you can argue, but whatever. Number 5 in the actual poll is Wisconsin. I have them at number 5.
Yep.
I have them.
The Badgers. The Badgers are one of those teams,
but they control their destiny, in my opinion.
They control their destiny, and they control it with it's tough. They're going to have to win out. They'll have to win the Big Ten championship.
They got Michigan this week, which is interesting. They're going to be playing for the Big Ten title. That's basic, I think, a foregone conclusion. I don't think there's any way they can't play for that. But Michigan this week, Michigan's on the rise again. They're ranked in the top 25 now, so this will be a tough test for them. But they really haven't played anyone. They have the win against Iowa, and it was a tight game.
You don't really know what you're going to get with Wisconsin.
No. Jonathan Taylor's the real deal. They're running back.
Taylor is a very good player. So I don't know about the Badgers. I personally think that they might ultimately get beat by Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game.
I do as well.
We'll have to see.
I hate to say it, but
6 and 7. I'll just go right ahead and say I have Auburn and Georgia.
Same. Right,
because
6 and 7. So we have the same top 7 right now. We're clear cut on the top 7.
Yeah, I think that Auburn. I didn't realize how good they were. They smacked Georgia.
Smacked them.
And I think Georgia's good, and as much as I wanted to keep Georgia at 6, it's hard to put them ahead of an Auburn team that just smoked them.
I think that Clemson game for Auburn helped them a lot. I know they got as bad as it sounds for losses to help you, them losing that tight game to Clemson where it's 14-6, low scoring, I think it really gave them identity. And then they got trounced by LSU. Like LSU beat them, I'm pretty sure it was by a lot. And then LSU got trounced, so everybody didn't know what was going on with the SEC.
Yeah, it's tough.
And then everybody started talking
about how it's been that merry-go-round.
The SEC was down, and I don't know what they were looking at because they have 3 teams still in the top 7 right there. But, yeah, I have Auburn at 6. That they have the big win against Georgia, big win against Mississippi State. Georgia, obviously, they beat Notre Dame, who was ranked higher. Now this fell off after that win, but for Georgia, in my opinion, they win out, they're in. Because they have 1 loss. They're still going to play. They have to play South Carolina, and they have to play Georgia Tech. Those are the last 2 regular season games for them. Then they have a walkthrough this week. And then they have potentially Auburn or Bama in the SEC championship game. And sitting at number 7 right now, I think could be easy for them to get back up to the top 4.
Yeah, the thing is, and doesn't Alabama play Auburn?
Yeah, they have the Iron Bowl, and then if Auburn wins that, it'll be Auburn, Georgia. If Bama wins that, it'll be Bama, Georgia in the SEC.
Do you see any scenario where Bama doesn't make the playoff?
I see a scenario Bama doesn't make it if Auburn beats them. If Auburn beats them, then I think if Georgia wins the SEC championship, they're in over Bama.
And Bama's out.
I think the SEC, one of those – I mean, I'm not saying they have to, but it all depends on how it happens too.
That little triangle there in the SEC is going to be very interesting.
It's very interesting.
I still think there's a lot of scenarios where 2 SEC teams could make it. It's going to be really interesting to see, though, what they end up doing if Alabama should lose. I think if everyone wins out – I guess they can't all win out. If Alabama plays Georgia in the SEC championship
I
game.
think that's the scenario. Bama goes in undefeated. Georgia goes in with one loss. Georgia beats Bama. Then you can make the claim for both of them to be in.
Then they would probably do some 3-4 type deal.
Or even 2-3. You don't know how far they're going to drop.
But they wouldn't make them play again twice in a row.
You know,
Anyway, number 8.
Yeah.
So, the SEC is tough as always.
Here's where I think we're going to start getting stuff mixed up a little bit here. I don't hope, but we'll see what happens.
My next one's the big time. I'm going to get you a lot of
Yeah,
shit.
you are, because I know who you're picking. Number 8, I have the actual team's Notre Dame, and I have Notre Dame there at number 8. I have them sitting there. I know they did just get annihilated by Miami. They got beat by the U. They do have probably one of the toughest strength of schedules in college football. They beat Michigan State, who went on to beat to beat Penn State. They smacked USC. They beat them by like 30 points. And they also beat NC State, who at the time was ranked top 15. They lost to Georgia by a point, so that's a good loss, you can say, for them. And obviously Miami, they got beat bad. But I have Notre Dame right there, 8. They don't really have a lot left in order to move back up, though, because they don't have a conference championship. So I think Notre Dame, that loss basically keeps them out, and they don't think they can move up at all either.
No. Well, number 8, this is my 100% homer type deal. I have the Penn State Nittany Lions at number 8. And I have a pretty good argument to back it up. So the Penn State Nittany Lions are sitting here at 8-2. They have 2 losses, one to Ohio State, who I've seen some things this week where a lot of people have Ohio State in the playoff, going on to win the Big Ten championship and being in the college football playoff. They lost on the road by a point to Ohio State, and they lost by 3 points on the road in a monsoon with a rain delay to Michigan State, who has continued to be ranked. Their strength of schedule, although it might not be the greatest, they have routed every team that they've beaten besides a close game against Iowa. We see what Iowa can do in Iowa. Going into Iowa is no tough task. Just ask Urban Meyer about going into Iowa. I think the Nittany Lions are solid, and I think they're going to run the table. They're going to win convincingly against Nebraska. They're going to win convincingly against Maryland. I don't think it'll be enough, obviously, because they don't have the Big Ten championship game. But I have them right now sitting at 8. And I think that they've been tough.
They had their chance. If they beat Michigan State, Penn State, it was the exact opposite scenario as last year, where it would have been Ohio State playing against Wisconsin, the Big Ten title. If Ohio State wins, you have that argument that Penn State with one loss should be in front of them. It was the exact same scenario, just in flip-flop shape, where Penn State was playing the one-loss team. I have Penn State at number 9, so I have them right there. I do have them still in front of Ohio State. It's very, very close, but I have them at 9. I just think that Notre Dame, what their body of work and their strength of schedule has been tougher than what Penn State's had. So, and that kills me to say.
That's understandable. And I understand the Notre Dame argument. I can see that. And I have Penn State just because I think they're a better football team. I think if Notre Dame and Penn State
needs to start knowing how to work with Saquon Barkley.
I agree, and it's frustrating. And this is a topic for a whole different time. I think that James Franklin and that offense has single-handedly shot Saquon Barkley out of the Heisman. And I think it's a shame because I think there is no better player in college football than Saquon Barkley. I think he's the most talented player I've ever watched play. I think he's just a terrific, terrific guy and a terrific, terrific player, and he could easily have won the Heisman. Injuries to the offensive line, not to mention Penn State's offensive line isn't that good to begin with, hurt him, and that bogus offense that we run has hurt him a lot.
Yeah, it's just not good right now.
I don't want to listen to the argument that there's a better college football player than Saquon Barkley. I have them at 8. I have Notre Dame at 9. I do think they're tough.
So at number 10, we both have, I bet it's Ohio State probably.
Ohio State, 10. Yes.
So Ohio State, guys, don't get me wrong. Ohio State, sorry about that. Something just fell off. I don't know what that was. But Ohio State could arguably be the best team in college football. I know they got beat by Iowa. I hate Ohio State. Ohio State got routed by Iowa. But you can see what JT Barrett can do when he needs to in the big games, in the clutch. They beat Penn State when Penn State was ranked number 2. They have probably, in my opinion, one of the fastest offenses in the country, and their defensive line is, in my opinion, the best in the country. Ohio State could beat anybody on a given day, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about where they should be ranked. Can Ohio State beat them? Sure. But look at what Ohio State's done. Everybody talks about strength of schedule. With the addition of Oklahoma as being that one big game, and they got pounced. Ohio State doesn't play anybody either.
No, I mean, they play in that
Oklahoma is a good game. Yes, Oklahoma is – we know how good Oklahoma is now. But that Oklahoma game, I feel like, means less and less, in my opinion.
Once again, Ohio State has 2 losses by a combined 46 points.
Yeah.
And Penn State has a combined 2 losses by a total of 4 points.
Right.
And for me, the 30-point loss to Iowa is just one of those unforgivable losses that I don't think there's a scenario where you can put Ohio State in the college football playoff.
You know, it's like last year when everybody said that the Michigan loss for Penn State is what essentially kept them out, that, getting crushed by Michigan. And, I mean, that's just what happened to Ohio State. They got crushed by a team. Michigan was even ranked top 10, though, when that happened to us last year.
As a Big Ten fan who, I mean, my team obviously is in the Big Ten. I hope for the best for them. I would rather see, if Ohio State should go on to win out and win the Big Ten championship, I think that there should be no Big Ten teams in the playoff rather than one, than them get in, because I just don't believe they deserve it. I don't see how you can lose at home, get beat badly at home, and then go on the road against an unranked Iowa team and get absolutely smacked. I don't see how you can do it.
It's
anyway,
crazy.
They're out for me. I hate Ohio State.
So number 11 in the poll is USC. So let's talk about them a little bit. I have them down at number 13.
I have them at 12. I flip-flop TCU and USC.
Okay. So USC for me at 13. For me, their strength of schedule does nothing for me. The Pac-12, they have a lot of teams that are ranked because, in my opinion, they don't, other than each other, they don't really play anybody that's good. They have a big USC's beaten Arizona by a little, they beat Arizona handily. They beat Stanford, but then they got crushed, and I mean crushed by Notre Dame. And then they also lost to Washington State, who also is ranked in the top 15. But for me, USC just does not have, for all the hype that they had, those 2 losses should not have happened, in my opinion, if they were a really good team. I am just not big on the Pac-12. I've watched them. I know people say, you don't watch their games.
I think the Pac-12
I stay up and watch their games, and I just am not overly impressed, except Bryce Love. He's the only guy that really doesn't.
And they continue to disappoint every year. Washington. Then everybody had Washington State. They were on that Washington State train. And then they were frauds. And then you have Stanford, who just can never seem to get it together.
They have some exciting players, like exciting quarterbacks with Rosen, Sam Darnold. You got Luke Falk from Washington State. All those
Browning
guys.
doesn't get much love. But
Browning gets no love. And then they have, Khalil Tate for Arizona. Pac-12's full of explosive guys, but I just don't think their teams are complete.
And then when they come east and then they have to play against some tough teams like some Big Ten or SEC or ACC opponents, they without fail get smoked. So then I have TCU at 11 and USC at 12. I think TCU, although they do have that disappointing loss, they've been tough. I mean, they've played tough.
Well, TCU has 2 losses.
But I'm talking about the most recent one was Oklahoma by what?
Right.
By 14?
18, I think it was. Wasn't it? 38-20?
Okay.
I thought it was 38-20. So.
I think that speaks more to how good Oklahoma is than how TCU is bad. I'm not going to hold that against them too much.
I'll just jump in. I have TCU I have them at 11, so I have them.
So we both have them at 11. Okay.
Yeah, because they were.
Who do you have at 12? Let's hear this. I'm interested to see where the Knights come in.
No, I have at 12. Then I have Oklahoma State. So I have them up 1 from where they actually are. Obviously, they don't really have any big wins. They beat West Virginia. They beat Iowa State, which is more than TCU and Oklahoma could say. So that's a kind of, I guess you can say, a signature win for the Big 12 there. For Oklahoma State is beating Iowa State, as crazy as that sounds. But they did lose Bedlam to Oklahoma. They did lose at TCU. So they won't be playing for the Big 12 title, I don't think, unless something crazy happens. But Oklahoma State, they're fun to watch. Mason Rudolph, explosive offense. They actually have a little bit of a defense for the most part, which is Oklahoma's number 1 flaw. TCU, I feel like, has the best defense out of the 3.
The question of the day about the Big 12 is do you think you could play cornerback in the Big 12? I think you could, because those boys don't play any defense. That is a shootout.
For me, it's like a cornerback. It's like, okay, ready, go. And if you don't have them covered within 10 yards, you just let them go. And then be like, all right, we'll get them next time. And
we'll get them.
Offense, do the same.
I see sometimes now the really thing that screws me up now is the Big 12 basketball has started. So now I don't know which ones are the basketball scores and which ones are the football scores because they don't play any defense.
Yeah, because
and I do think that inflates. I do think that inflates Baker Mayfield's Heisman lead a little bit because his numbers right now are so eye-poppingly ridiculous that it's like you got to have the Heisman.
But I just think you look at what he did against like Ohio State,
absolutely,
and that's like
absolutely. And I'm not saying he shouldn't.
And you can say that too. Like Saquon hasn't showed up in a lot of the big games. I mean, Michigan, he had a good game, but even then, he only had like 2 big plays. Ohio State, he was shut down. He had the kick return, but then he had like 40 or 50 rushing yards, and 37 of them were on one carry.
Play. No, absolutely. No, I mean, it's hard to champion for Saquon Heisman anymore, and I don't blame him. I don't think that's about him, but I mean, Baker Mayfield is crazy good. Let's see. Let's round out the top 15. So I had Oklahoma State at 13.
Okay. So
I have your UCF Knights. I have the UCF Knights at 14.
So do I. Yeah, I have them at 14. I'm a realist. I can go on for hours, and you can see my stuff on Twitter if you want to see stuff. Go last week. I went on a rant, like 4 straight tweets. I had the 280 characters.
Go follow Ben on Twitter.
So I was going ham. Guys, UCF is the #1 scoring offense in the country. They have scored over 30 points in 9 straight games, the longest in the country. They have beaten teams by 40. They've beaten teams by 30. They beat Memphis, who's ranked number 21. They beat Memphis by 4 touchdowns. You can't be sleeping on that much if you have them in the top 14.
I have them in the top 15, man. You got to give them credit. They haven't lost.
They should not. Everybody's going crazy. Like all my friends here, they're like going crazy. Like they should be top 10. They should have a chance. No, they should not. They should not be in the college football Final Four. They probably will end the season if they're lucky, number 8 to 10, but they should not be playing. If you want UCF to go play Bama, I do not want to watch that game because UCF offense might score 30 points, but Bama might score 90 because our defense has been off a little bit right now. We do play Navy. We beat Navy. We beat Memphis. We play USF next week, which will be the fun one. We have a potential rematch against Memphis in the AAC championship game to look forward to. When it's all said and done, if we win out, yes, we should be top 10. Should we be in that top 4 conversation? I don't think so. I'm being real. I'm sorry if that disappointed any of my friends, but that's how it should be.
Those Knights are having a good season. So, I think that, props to them. They haven't lost yet. And I think they're going to get a big win against Temple this week. So not a big win, but I think they're going to smoke Temple. So they're tough. They're a good team. And then rounding out my top 15, I have Mississippi State.
I have Washington State in my 15. I know I said about that Pac-12 love. The Washington State, to me, they have the most impressive wins out of that, I think, with USC and Stanford. But they also did have a terrible loss to Cal. They lost 37-3 on like a Friday or Saturday night.
And that's what did it for me.
And that was a big one. But, I mean, with Luke Falk, when he plays, he's a baller. They lost to Arizona, and Arizona had that stretch where they brought this guy in from nowhere, Khalil Tate, and just started running on everybody for 1,000 yards. But I have them at 14. But Mississippi State, obviously the SEC right there, they were
I like Mississippi State because Mississippi State played very well against that tough Alabama team last week. Gave themselves a chance to win. Guys, so, tweet in at us. I was going to do this as a plug for our social media. Get on us on Twitter and on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at M or B Sports. Tweet at us. Who do you think should be in the college football playoff? Who do you think should be in or out?
Yeah, give us your top 4, top 6, whatever you want. We want to hear from you guys.
Where do you think Penn State should be ranked? No, more importantly, where do you think UCF should be ranked? Let us know.
Well, that's the most important thing. Make your cases for UCF to get us in that, top 10. But, Matt, hey, UCF, Penn State bowl game? I mean,
that'd be cool. I hope it doesn't happen because I don't know what's going to happen there. But I hope Penn State's makes it to the Cotton Bowl. But hey,
we'll see.
Good stuff. Get at us on social media. As always, let us know.
That was fun. That was a good time there.
Comment on it. Yeah. Comment, subscribe. As always, hit the sub button down below.
Go on for hours. If you want to get in Twitter conversations with us too, by all means, go
get at me on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter. I'll talk trash on Twitter. So now back to the big boy football.
Big boy football. That Bama could probably beat Cleveland, but who knows?
The Bama-Cleveland debate is always one for the ages. I don't know, man.
So you have Cleveland at number 1 in your power rankings, right?
Yeah, power rankings. Cleveland comes in at number 32. I don't even know. I don't have that written down, but that's just a given. Cleveland stinks. They blow.
Very bad.
It's crazy, though, because Deshaun Kaiser has actually been a serviceable fantasy quarterback the last couple
weeks. But
he
gets benched, and they put Cody Kessler in, and he gets a concussion, and then they put what's-his-name back in, and then they call Johnny Manziel.
Who runs a QB sneak from the 3-yard line? Who runs a QB sneak from the 3-yard line? They are,
They have one good offensive player, and he's not playing right now because he's still smoking weed somewhere.
How's Isaiah Crowell doing this year, by the way, with that bet?
We'll revert to that. Isaiah Crowell, I did make a bet with Matt that Isaiah Crowell would be a top 15 fantasy PPR running back after 6 weeks. He was not, so Matt got that one. But if we're going to make that plug, Matt, we can talk long and hard about that plug. Jacksonville Jags over under 6.5 wins, looking pretty good right now, and you doubted me. So shout out Ty, shout out CJ.
You still got confidence in Blake Bortles to win a game?
We're 1 win away. We're 1 win away, buddy.
You think Blake Bortles could win one more game? I don't know, man. It's gonna be tough.
You know they play this week?
Yeah, I know who they play this week.
They play Cleveland this week.
The bet gets settled this week.
They play Cleveland this week.
They play the Cleveland Dookie.
But anyway,
we're still ragging on Cleveland. Might have been gone for a couple weeks. I might have been gone for a little while, but I'm still ragging on Cleveland.
That's okay. Holding on real quick. I'll make the plug since we're talking about all these bets, guys. We are going to get you guys back into like what we have our bets and our locks and our picks because we are still going to do that giveaway at the end of 2017. Matt and I have these running bets going on right now, drinking protein. I don't know what he's trying to – I don't know what he's doing right now.
My pre-workout for the podcast.
So but we are going to give away a copy of either NBA 2K18 or Madden NFL 18 to one of our followers, subscribers, Facebook listeners, whatever it may be. Whoever loses the betting challenge between Matt and I, and we can keep track of that on our website, but we have a lot of stuff going. We are going to release our first ever Pick'em special on Saturday morning, probably around 9 a.m., just so you can get ready. So before you watch game day, before you tune in for college football and NFL football for the next 2 days, we're going to make our college and NFL picks that we're just going to go through for you guys. So keep an eye out for that video. But
the cool thing is if you hit that sub button, you get a notification. And turn on your notifications, you get a notification every time we come out. So we're going to be coming at you Saturday morning for a little Pick'em special that will go towards the bets. NFL football, Ben, real quick, let's just go through the power rankings because then we got to get to the important stuff.
Just so you know, we do have a comment from someone on our chat here.
Uh-oh.
JIMA6636. I'm not really sure who that is, but we appreciate you listening and tuning in. Says, boo, Penn State. So,
hey, Jim.
Thanks for listening.
Jim, thanks for listening. Jim. We really appreciate the support.
I don't know what.
That's Jim. He works at the bakery. Jim,
okay.
My response to that is, how are your Giants doing, buddy? And I'm just going to leave it at that.
You won't find them in our top 10 of the power rankings.
You will not. Hey, if you've tuned into the power rankings, if you've tuned into the NFL power rankings to hear the Giants name called, you will have to wait a long time.
Shout out Chris Weagle, too, my friend. I'm sorry, but
I hate Chris. I have to live next to him every single day, and the Giants are terrible.
Man.
Number one, staying in the NFC East, though, not the Giants, but are my number one team, and it's everybody's number one team. How about Philly, man? How about them Eagles?
Man. As a Steelers fan, it's tough to see the Eagles doing so well, but I also do actually like it because it's cool to see a team go from nothing to something. Carson Wentz, like the underdog story, really coming from North Dakota State, Division II, whatever school, and to see them doing that's really cool. And we all know that they'll make it to the NFC Championship game and probably lose anyway. So, but yeah, right now they're playing unbelievable football, just fun to watch, and I definitely have them as a clear-cut number one.
Yep, Pennsylvania has the Eagles at my number one spot. Number two coming in, I hate to say it, the New England Patriots.
Ah, okay. See, I have another new team. I have New Orleans. I have the New Orleans Saints.
I have New Orleans at 3.
The thing that's always held New Orleans back has been their defense. And this year their defense is top 10 against the pass with Marshawn Lattimore, the new rookie corner out of Ohio State. He's been a stud. He's like
Lattimore's
top 3
balling,
cornerbacks right now.
Balling.
So I have them at number 2. Drew Brees is actually – it's kind of weird. Drew Brees is not doing as much as he normally does, but they got 2 stud running backs with Kamara and Ingram.
If you would have told me, going back to this last game against the Bills, if you would have told me that the Saints were going to score 47 points
and Drew Brees
would not have a touchdown pass and he wouldn't have had 200 passing yards, I would have said you're crazy. You don't want to.
If you would have said he had a rushing touchdown, because he did have a rushing touchdown.
He did have a rushing touchdown.
A rushing touchdown and no passing touchdown.
What do they have, 6 rushing touchdowns as a team? The Saints?
Unreal.
The Saints
Unreal. They're real. I think and they had 2 lots. They've won 7 in a row now. So that's
probably one of the biggest turnarounds in terms of a defensive unit that I've ever seen.
Hands down.
Their defense.
Go ahead and talk about them a little bit.
Yeah, their defense was one of the worst. They have been a complete
terrible
sieve the last 3-4 years. And then this year they come in and they're stopping teams, they're forcing turnovers, they're really playing well, and that's what's given the Saints a chance to win.
Yeah.
Drew Brees' numbers aren't great on paper, but he's still that good old Drew Brees, playing well, very efficient. And their running game has been phenomenal. I have the New Orleans Saints at 3. It was tough between New England and New Orleans.
Yeah, so you like New England at 2 then, huh? You think they're going
I
to
just
turn
think
it
they're
around?
tough.
Or...
Watching what they did to Denver, Tom Brady just looked so good. I mean, he is just –
But that's you giving a lot of tout to Denver. Their defense, yes. Their offense, no.
Right. No,
You
absolutely.
can't.
And I'm not saying – but, I mean, they blew them out, and they're just always going to be there. And they started out the season – it's like the Warriors. They always get those 2 losses early, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, the Warriors, the
Oh, yeah,
Patriots are going to say 8-8." I'm one of those hype beasts. I'm one of those hype beasts at the beginning because I hate the Warriors and I hate the Patriots. At the beginning of the year, when they lose that 2 games, I'm like, "It's over. Brady's washed up. They're going 7-9. It's over." It never happens. They go 12-4, and I'm like, "Damn, man, what happened here?" But so they're legit. They're always going to be legit. Tom Brady will play till he's 90, and the Colts will never win a Super Bowl.
So you said number 3, you have the Saints. Right? So we already talked about them. But number 3, I have the Steelers. I think for me, the big thing for the Steelers, their offense is not the offense that it normally is right now, but their defense is getting back to its steel curtain ways. They have good cornerbacks. The loss of Hayden now for a couple of weeks with the broken fibula, maybe for the year, that's really going to hurt them because he's been playing good for them after coming over from Cleveland. But their defense with their linebackers and especially their D-line has been very good this year. And I know Ben might not be able to get it done, but Bell leads the league in rushing, and Brown still leads the league in receiving. And they have the new stud in Juju Smith-Schuster, who's coming out of nowhere.
I coined the phrase last, and I'm going to talk about him later. I coined the phrase last weekend. Shout to Mitch Conley, Juju Smith future, man. He's the future of this team. He's a good player, man.
I obviously am a Steelers fan, so I might be a little biased, but I still think that when it comes down to it, if you put – it's going to be Pittsburgh, it's going to be New England, it's going to be, those 2 teams probably fighting for the AFC title, just like it should be and normally is. Kansas City,
love for Andy Reid's boys. Come on.
We'll talk about them in a little bit. I'll kind of give you my take on them. But so I have the Steelers at 3.
I coming in at 4. So I go Eagles, Patriots, Saints, and then I go Rams at 4.
Okay.
The mad scientist, Sean McVay, 31-year-old head coach. He's what? 9 years older than me, and he is leading this team. The rebirth of Jared Goff has been incredible as well.
The fact that they're actually utilizing Todd Gurley.
Todd Gurley is having an amazing season. I think you could make a case for 2 players on that team to be in the MVP top 5.
Slow your roll with Goff a little bit there.
No, I know, but
I don't know.
You could make the case, though.
I don't think
you could make the case. You could make the case.
I'm not sold on Goff yet. I'm way more sold on Wentz than I am Goff.
I agree. I'm more sold on him, but I think that you could put Goff, and that could be maybe that's a debate for next episode. If you guys would like to hear a Wentz Goff debate, we'll talk about it. Then I have your Steelers at 5. The Steelers are tough. I have them ahead of the Chiefs because I think they are better.
Yeah, I have the Rams at 5. I have the Rams at 5. So we're right there. 1 through 5 are all the same, kind of flipped a little bit, but so I mean, pretty straightforward, but. The top 5 right now is top 5. So here's where it gets interesting for me because I think you have Kansas City at 6, right?
No, I have Kansas City at 7, actually. I have the Vikings at 6.
Oh, okay, same. So we have 6 and 7 the same as well. Minnesota, their defense carries them, and as crazy as this sounds, they need to keep Case Keenum at quarterback. They need to stop with this. I know Bradford's on IR now. Bridgewater has not played in so long. Give the man the year off. Put him in there as the backup. Case Keenum's getting the job done.
Yeah, they need to open up that quarterback competition next camp.
Yeah, I mean, right now, the game of the week this week is the Rams and the Vikings.
Yeah.
Jared Goff versus Case Keenum.
Do you ever think you'd be saying the game of the week is a Goff-Keenum matchup?
And it's funny because Case Keenum came from the Rams. They got rid of him for Jared Goff, which is another little – so I think Case Keenum's going to come out fired.
All I've learned from this matchup, the Case Keenum-Jared Goff matchup, is how bad of a football coach Jeff Fisher is. He was awful. He ruined Goff. He was terrible for Keenum, and now they're both without him. They're both playing great. So props to them. Coming in at 8, just real quick because we got to speed it up here a little bit. 8, 9, and 10. I have the Seahawks at 8, the Panthers at 9, the Titans at 10.
Oh my God, man! Where are the Jags, dude?
They're at number 11.
How do you not have? I have so my top 10 is that
the Titans are better than them. The Titans.
I have the Jags. I have the Jags at 8, the Panthers at 9, and Seattle at 10. Jacksonville is 6-3. They have the best defense in the NFL. the best defense in the NFL. And I don't think Tennessee is going to hold on to that division lead. I really don't. I think Jacksonville, even if they don't, I think Jacksonville's a better team playing right now, even with the play of Blake Bortles, who has not been good, but he's been getting the job done because Fournette's a monster.
He's doing well with that defense. Their defense is playing really well. I'm not going to argue the defense.
That's all they need. They slowed
11.
down every offense right now. I have them at 8. I think they're the real deal. Again, I hope Ty and Curry are listening to this. I hope I'm getting some points.
I have them at 11. I have the Titans is better than them. The Titans are better. They're leading the division. I don't think you could make the case that the Titans don't deserve to be there. They've beaten some tough teams. Marcus Mariota, the quarterback play is where I'm going to come in and say that they're better. You've got Marcus Mariota, who is head and shoulders better than Blake Bortles. And not to mention that, I mean, you have – I'm not a believer in the Jaguars going far because of their quarterback struggles. They are a good team. Their defense is incredible. They've silenced the Colts. They've silenced your Steelers, who you have in the top 5, in the top 3 of the power rankings. Right. So, I can see why I think you're overvaluing that.
We'll find out. We'll find out how good Tennessee is. I think tomorrow night they play the Steelers. Obviously Thursday.
Yeah, that'll be a great.
That'll be a good game to find out where both teams are. Obviously, Carolina, if Cam Newton continues to play good football, I think they're right back in.
Cam Newton looks energized right now. He's playing well. He's got that swagger back. I
had Seattle a lot higher, but the injury to Sherman, I think, hurts them a lot.
Yeah, it's tough. Russell Wilson, he's tough. He's a winner.
Yeah,
I think they're always going to be tough. Jimmy
Graham's playing unbelievable football, so.
And that's where you could always make those arguments in those like middle tier teams. But I go Seahawks, Panthers, Titans. Sorry, Ty, the Jaguars are out on my top 10.
So that concludes our NFL power rankings, and we're really excited now. This is what I wanted to do earlier, but we didn't really have time, obviously, with like the delay in our podcast and everything. For our
student comes first. I'm a student first.
Comes first. Hey, I was working. Second. I was busy. I was doing.
No, I know.
We had a lot of stuff going on, so. But our first ever fantasy football is start and sit. So
start them, sit them. So if you guys, anybody that's out watching, or if you could find any, and if you watch this late and you have any start them, sit them debates, you want any advice, tweet the experts or Facebook message the experts or message.
Yeah, we get a lot.
Experts.
Gavin Harder is a big listener. He's a guy that always normally tweets for those Sunday morning, the Sunday morning questions, normally the flex position. So far,
Gavin had the audacity to tweet me a start him, sit him, and I played him that week in fantasy.
So I think I answered that one for you. But so far with Gavin, I'm pretty sure I'm 2
He beat me, by the way, Ben. Thank you for that.
So, Matt, your team is pretty terrible, so we won't talk about that.
Yeah, that league is a lost cause.
So what we're going to do for start sit is we each have 5 players for start, 5 players for sit. The starts we're gonna try and get guys that are more, obviously we're not going to be like, start Antonio Brown.
I think you should start Antonio Brown. So, if you have Antonio Brown, put him in.
I have one, obviously. I think one's an obvious start, but I want to just talk about it more because it's for the future as well. But the rest of the guys are going to, for starts especially, are going to be guys that you normally might not play that you should play. So I'll start it out, and I'll just get that guy out of the way because he is, obviously, I think, the number 1 tight end, and Travis Kelce. The only reason I'm saying 100%, 1,000% start him is because they play the New York Giants this week. And fun fact, the Giants stink, and they've given up a touchdown to the opposing tight end in every game this year. Whether that's the Cameron Brate, whether that's the Cleveland Browns and David Njoku or whatever, Seth DeValve, I think his name is.
Jim, who works at the bakery, could score a touchdown on his Giants.
Yeah, so the Giants, that's the only reason I have Kelce. I know he's a big name, so you're probably starting him either way, but the Giants is what does that for me. So Travis Kelce is my first start.
I'm gonna go with the running back. I have a couple running backs and then a couple wide receivers. I'm gonna go with running back James White, New England running back James White. I know he's in that New England stable, and you never know what running backs to play. James White's been consistent, averaging over 12 points per game, which is tough in PPR, mind you. PPR, James White is a definite start. Going up against the Raiders, who give up the 29th most points, or the 29th most points to opposing running backs, or so I guess that would be fourth most points to opposing running backs. And I think this game is going to be a shootout because the Patriots defense isn't great. I think that Derek Carr coming off a bye is going to play well, and I think that they're going to get into a little shootout. And those shootout games where the pace is faster and there's a lot of throwing going on, I think that James White will catch a lot of passes. Might even
down in Mexico City, huh?
Down in Mexico City, I think that James White's going to thrive below the border. I would start James White in a flex if you have him.
So my first sit, we're going to go ahead and go to another running back. I'm going to go with Lamar Miller. Lamar Miller has The injury to Deshaun Watson, I think, really, really hurts them. And to me, it just brings down what his stock, because when you have a good quarterback, normally it opens up their running game so you can throw the ball more. And I don't think Tom Savage is elite by any means of the word, or even good by any means of the word. They play Arizona, who their run defense has struggled a little bit this year, but Lamar Miller does get a lot of points in the pass game. And I think that he'll be shut down by the linebackers, whether he goes out into the slot at all. He'll be covered by Tyrann Mathieu or Patrick Peterson, perhaps. So for me, I'm not starting Lamar Miller. I'm going to sit him.
Okay, I'm gonna keep it. Why don't we keep it going with this? Keep the starts and then the sits separate. We'll go through to a couple starts. So another start at running back for me that I really like, Jamal Williams, running back for Green Bay, going up against a middle of the road Baltimore run defense. They're not great. They're not bad. They're mediocre. It's in Green Bay, which I think helps him. With Brett Hundley as the quarterback, I think they're going to lean on Jamal Williams because no Ty Montgomery, no Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones has played pretty well this year when he has been in. They're both out for the game this week against Baltimore. Brett Hundley, a quarterback, still trying to learn the role, learn his spot. They're going to have to lean on the run game a little bit. And Jamal Williams has played pretty well when he's been out on the field. And he's going to be the guy this week. I think he's going to look for him to get double-digit carries. I think he's probably going to get close to 20 touches, 15, 20 touches. Touches are key with running backs. It's hard to find guys that are going to be the featured guy. I like Jamal Williams. I think he could provide a lot of value. Might even still be on your waiver wire, depending on how deep the league is. Go pick up Jamal Williams if he's available, and he's a guy that could potentially have some flex value this week.
So another start for me, I'm going to go ahead and another one of those New England running backs. I'm going to go with Rex Burkhead. Last week got a lot of work, especially as a pass catcher. He really goes out into the slot a lot, gets a lot of passes there. Also does a couple punt returns, a little bit of kick returns. You never know what can happen there. But like you said, Oakland, pretty terrible defense right now. So Rex Burkhead with Tom Brady at quarterback, I think has potential, especially in PPR leagues, to maybe find the end zone on a touchdown, maybe 6 catches for like 40 yards and get you 10 double-digit points. So he's a start for me.
Another start for me, wide receiver now. We're going to go. I got 3 wide receivers left as my starts. I'm going to go with the guy that I referenced earlier, Juju Smith-Schuster. This guy he's been playing really well of late. He's been showcasing his skills the last couple weeks. Been getting catches like crazy. I think he's caught a touchdown in 3 straight games. Big Ben really starting to find him a lot, and Big Ben starting to trust him. And the absence of Martavis Bryant due to injury and due to just being a crybaby has really opened a window for Juju Smith-Schuster to now be a very fantasy-relevant wide receiver. 25th against the pass, the Titans are, I should say. Logan Ryan is their only good cornerback. He's questionable for the game. And he'll be guarding Antonio Brown, even if he does suit up to play. And I think that's why Juju Smith-Schuster has been playing so well, because Antonio Brown draws those double teams and he draws the best corner, even though they can never seem to stop him. That's what allows Schuster to get open. So, I think he's going to be a guy that's going to catch 5, 6, 7 passes. He could be pretty solid. I like him this week. I would start him. I think he could be a good flex option this week.
So I'm going to go with another start for me. I'm going to go I have a wide receiver. I have a quarterback, running back, wide receiver left. We'll go with the wide receiver first. I got Nelson Aguilar at Dallas. The Dallas 27th best pass, 27th pass defense. So what is that? 5th worst. Alshon Jeffrey, I think probably the number 1 target there with Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz probably the number 1 target there. But without Sean Lee, I think there's going to be a little bit less pressure and less the guy to kind of be the focal point of a defense that Sean Lee is. So I think it's going to open up the field a little bit, even across the middle. And Aguilar stretches the field a lot more, so you always have that chance for the deep ball, I feel like, with him. So watch out for Nelson Aguilar this week.
Yeah, I liked Aguilar as well. I was going to put him in there. It's tough with the Eagles. They do spread it out a lot. I think any of the Eagles players are safe plays this week as like a flex position.
I had Jay Ajayi as a close start, too. I know.
Ajayi's really going to find a role. It's hard because he's in that stable with Blunt and Clement now, who's also –
I think Blunt's going to be about done. I don't think he's going to
get much work anymore. Pretty much on the way out. Another wide receiver for me, this one, another guy that I like just because of his matchup, Devontae Parker going up against the dead last Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the pass. This team, they get into shootouts, or they getting blown out by everybody. The passing game is easy against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think Devontae Parker has a chance to catch some passes and be a guy. He's had 12-plus points in the last 3 outings he's been in, or last 2 outings he's been in. I think this is another game where he could go out there, snag 6, 7, 8 balls, maybe get in the end zone. Playing against a terrible defense. Weather should be nice for the game. I think Devontae Parker has some solid value as well this week. I would start him.
So my running back start is going to be Duke Johnson Jr. They're playing Jacksonville. I know I've been talking of Jacksonville a lot, but Jacksonville does where they find their hole. It is against their run. I know they added Marcel Darius just recently, but against their run, they're not as great. Isaiah Crowell, obviously the featured running back, the back that runs the ball more. But Duke Johnson, I feel like there's going to be a lot of third downs because Cleveland's not going to be able to move the ball. Cleveland's not going to be able to throw to any other wide receivers because Britt and Ramsey and Bouye on the outside are going to lock that down. They have to throw the ball somewhere, and Duke Johnson probably the best pass catcher running back in the NFL. So I got Duke Johnson right there as my other start.
I'm starting Michael Crabtree this week, going up against a New England defense that is 30th against the pass. They're not a great
Mexico
defense.
City shootout, huh?
I like the Mexico City shootout. I think it's going to happen. I think Crabtree, they're coming off a bye. I think that Oakland's going to come out of the bye pretty solid. I think that they're going to come out and have a good game plan. I do think a lot of points will be scored in this game.
Sure.
I think Crabtree, who's been solid all year, I like him a lot.
So going back, my last start, we already talked about the game a little bit. Get ready for this one. This is going to blow some people's mind. I'm going to go with Ryan Fitzpatrick against Miami. Ryan Fitzpatrick gets Mike Evans back. He has Cameron Brate. He has Deshaun Jackson. Miami just gave up a lot of points to Cam Newton and the Panthers on Monday Night Football. So Miami, a short week especially. I think that's going to be a big factor. This will be their 9th or whatever straight game. I know it's Tampa's as well, but Ryan Fitzpatrick, realistically, it's only his 2nd straight game. So he's going to be more fresh. I think Fitzpatrick's going to have a good game, and I'm actually going to probably try and stream him this week in a few of my leagues. So that's what I got with Fitzpatrick.
We're going with the Ryan Fitzpatrick.
So that's our starts, guys. I already gave you my first sit with Lamar Miller. So, Matt, go ahead and get us
all right, so I got a couple sits. My first sit is going to be Tevin Coleman. Tevin Coleman now, a guy that a lot of people are going to be very inclined to start Tevin Coleman because of the fact that Devontae Freeman might not play, looking like he's probably not going to play against Seattle. But the game is in Seattle. Seattle is a top 5 defense against the run. They're always tough. I think this game is going to be one where the offensive struggles that Atlanta has had, I know they played well against the Cowboys this past week, kind of got their offense moving a little bit in that game. But I think going into Seattle, traveling up there, it's always a tough place to play. And even without Sherman, you still have a top-tier defense here in Seattle. I think the offense is going to struggle to get going. Don't know that a lot of points will be scored in this game.
Yeah,
possibly could be interesting. I think if the Falcons are going to win this game, they're not going to do it on the legs of Tevin Coleman.
So
just be careful with Tevin Coleman.
If you think you might have to play Tevin Coleman, especially, or if you have Devontae Freeman, guys, what I would do is I'd move him into the flex, and I'd see if you can maybe have a guy on your bench. Like if you can somehow, if you have a Mohamed Sanu on your bench, if you have a Paul Richardson on your bench, if you have if you set for whatever reason have Jimmy Graham on your bench, or an Austin Hooper even, you can play. Those are guys, since that's a Monday night game, those are guys you can all keep as an option to put in that flex position. So don't forget that. I have Devontae Freeman in my lineup. I'm probably just straight up benching him, but who knows what's going to happen.
It's looking like he's not going to play.
So another one of my sits, we're going to go ahead and put Josh Doxson. Doxson's really been coming onto the scene a lot lately. People are starting to think he's going to break out. And for me, he plays New Orleans this week. We talked about that pass defense. People are starting to put their best corner on Doxson. If that's the case for New Orleans, that means Lattimore is going to be on him. And if Lattimore's on him, he's going to be shut down, I think, all game. Kirk Cousins was close here for a sit for me. But Doxson, I think it's more of a slow the hype for this week and then try and get back on him next week.
Yeah, okay. I like that. I'll go with wide receivers as well. And this was no particular wide receiver. This is the Broncos wide receivers in general. Sit the Broncos. I would stay away from Demaryius Thomas. I would stay away from Emmanuel Sanders because Cincinnati has a surprisingly good defense against the pass, giving up the 5th least points to opposing wide receivers. You got Brock Osweiler, who is just awful.
Awful.
Playing quarterback. I mean, everybody's
making more money than most players will see in their lifetime.
I know. How bad. It's crazy how bad he has been.
Browns had to do that to him, you know?
Yep, and so I'm staying away from those guys. I personally don't think that either of these guys are going to get it figured out against Cincinnati, who plays tough defense against the pass. Okay. I don't like either one of them. I would stay away from the Broncos wideouts.
So going on to mine, I'm going to go ahead and take a guy we already talked about a little bit. I'm going to say don't start Blake Bortles this week. That being Cleveland, as bad as they are, they've actually been pretty decent against the pass. as crazy as that sounds, I know. And Bortles isn't great as it is. So a not great matchup, especially at Cleveland. I do expect Jacksonville to win the game because I think Fournette's going to have a huge monster game. But just watch out and maybe slow your expectations on Bortles this week. You see that matchup against Cleveland, you get, the big eyes. But I'm staying away from him. If you own Bortles, you probably have to play him. I don't know why else you'd own him unless he's
if you own Bortles, you might have some issues. I don't know why you don't.
I don't personally think he's a great streaming option for this week. So
I could agree with that. And then my last sit that we'll go with is be careful with Davante Adams. I know Davante Adams has been a top 12 wide receiver in fantasy. I think he sits at number 11 right now, going up against the second best pass defense in the NFL, Baltimore. Tough team. Brett Hundley at quarterback. Tough to trust him as well. I think that Davante Adams, he could have a tough game ahead of him. I know a lot of people like him, and they've had him in their lineups all year because he has been solid. Even without Rodgers, he's still caught a touchdown, but I would be careful with him. I might put him on the bench this week against Baltimore.
So, yeah. Is that your last one, or do you have one more?
No, that's it for me.
Okay, so I'll do my last one. I have two more, but I'll just give one. I have C.J. Anderson. C.J. Anderson, I love C.J. Anderson, huge fan of C.J. Anderson. Drafted C.J. Anderson in most of my leagues. It looked good in the beginning of the year, and then Jamal Charles came along, and then Devontae Booker came along, and then the Broncos just became really bad all of a sudden. I'm staying away because there's just too much right now of a running back by committee for me to really fall in love with any of those running backs. I do think Anderson is the most talented of the bunch. Booker's probably the fastest, but Anderson has the hands. He's done it before. He's kind of got that bowling ball kind of look to him where he's just going to run through people and he runs hard. So big Anderson fan, definitely not starting him this week against Cincinnati though. So
yeah, tough matchup for C.J. Anderson. The Cincinnati defense, for as bad as they are, their defense isn't that horrible. I think they've lost a lot of games because of their inability to pass the ball with being horrible and tough running backs. So that's our first ever Stardom Sit-em. We'll do a lot of Stardom Sit-ems the next couple weeks. We'll be getting into it as fantasy football leagues get down to their playoffs here coming up soon. Guys, if you have any questions or any debates, tweet in at us. We'll get some feedback. And if there's anything else you'd like to hear us talk about, by all means, let us know. If there's any players you want to get some feedback on. As always,
before we close out, guys, a couple quick shout outs. Houston Astros, congratulations, first World Series in a long, long time. Congratulations, Justin Verlander, for winning a World Series and getting to marry Kate Upton immediately after.
Yep. Congratulations on that. Forget the World Series. Congratulations on Kate Upton, Justin.
Talk about being a winner right there. Today, I just announced congratulations to Corey Kluber and Max Scherzer, your AL and NL Cy Young Award winners. So big shout out to them. Kluber with his second and Scherzer with his second straight. So congratulations to those guys. Well deserving. And Matt, I'm going to throw you through a curveball here. Special shout out to my cousin in North Carolina, Adam Yalch. He was goalie for his high school team this year. He was a senior, and he dominated. He had one game where he had 30-something saves in a high school game, which is pretty good. But shout out to him. He's had a great career. Excited to see if he plays in college or not. Not sure yet, but hopefully
he goes somewhere. Tell him to come to Penn State, and we could use a goalie on the soccer team. Congratulations. No, that's good to hear.
We'll
awesome
see what happens
stuff.
With that, but yeah.
So there is an athlete in your family. I didn't know that.
There's at least one. There's
at least one athlete in the Ben Bauer family tree.
Just always remember, Matt, 85s are out.
85s are always out. They will never, ever be in. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in to the return of Make or Break Sports and the Make or Break Sports show. It's been a lot of fun to do it, and we're happy to be back. Look forward to seeing us every Wednesday at 8 p.m. That will be a regular show. If there's anything that you want to see or would like to talk or would like us to talk about or anything you'd want to talk about, let us know. Tweet at us. Get us on Facebook. Hit the comment section. Definitely subscribe, like, share. It's all about interaction. We're happy to be back.
Saturday morning, stay tuned. We got our Pick'em special coming in.
Pick'em special coming Saturday morning for all you gamblers out there. And as always, trust the process tonight against the Los Angeles Lakers.
10:30 ESPN. No excuse.
10:30 on ESPN. Trust the process.
Thanks so much.
Embiid. Take care, everybody.
Appreciate it, guys.